What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Harry the Horse Barbecue. I'm Harry, and today we are making some pastrami pork belly. That's right, we're gonna take a beautiful pork belly, throw it into a pastrami brine for a very long time, hit it with a beautiful black pepper coriander crust, throw it on the smoker until it builds a beautiful bark and a ton of smoke flavor, and then we'll slice on into one of the most succulent pieces of meat that you can pastrami. Is this the next big thing in the pastrami world? We're gonna find out. Let's get it.
Harry the Horse Barbecue.
Now, I first heard about pastrami pork belly or pastrami bacon from a barbecue joint here in New York called Hometown Barbecue. Now, I went there last year with one of my buddies and we ordered the pastrami bacon. Now, I have no clue how Hometown Barbecue cooks up their pastrami bacon, but I thought to myself, if I make a classic pastrami brine and throw a beautiful piece of pork belly in it, season it just like pastrami and smoke it off, then we should end up with some beautiful pastrami bacon or pastrami pork belly. This pastrami pork belly started about 2 weeks ago when I put this pork belly in a pastrami brine. Let me take you back. Now, this pastrami bacon has to start with a pastrami brine. So let's make some. We're gonna start by toasting off some black peppercorn, mustard seeds, allspice, and some star anise. Going in, onto the heat. Now that our spices are fragrant and popping, going in with some water. Oh boy, missed that by a mile. Sick. Now in with some kosher salt, brown sugar, a mix of some ground sage, some clove, and some red chili flake. I didn't have any coriander seeds, so I had to go in with some ground coriander, pink curing salt, and a handful of smashed garlic and some garlic scapes. Right on in. Back onto the heat until this hits a simmer so that all the salt and sugars dissolve. Then from there we'll cool it down. Hey-ya! And in we go with our brine. Ow, that's really hot. Now, I also added about 3 or 4 bay leaves into the brine mixture because I forgot to do that earlier. In with the rest of our water, about a gallon total, and some ice to cool it down. I'm pretty sure my power just flickered. One more for good measure. We'll let this cool down, then we'll get our pork belly ready to go right on in. Looks like all that flickering last night was a bit of foreshadowing. My power went out for hours, so it's the next morning, and that brine is done. Now that our brine is cooled down, we gotta go shopping for a pork belly. Let's go. Pork belly! Gotta move my coffee. Now, I picked up this pork belly from my guys over at Marbled Meat Shop. We're gonna use some high quality pork belly for this pork belly pastrami. So enough horsing around, let's get this pork belly out of the pack. And this is just shy of a 3-pound center cut portion of pork belly. Into the brine we go. Hey-ya. Give this little mix around, and our pork belly is gonna go for a nice summer swim. Our pork belly's doing a little backstroke here in our pastrami brine. I will either come back and flip this around a couple times over the next week or so, but I'm not going to inject here. This is just shy of 3 pounds of pork belly. I think about a week in this brine or so, and this pork belly will absorb all the pastrami brine necessary to turn it into actual pork belly pastrami. So the lid goes on, and I'll see y'all in about a week. Well, that pork belly should be done horsing around in this pastrami brine. Let's go check it out. Let's go. Ay, Dios mío. Nice. Boom. Our really wet pork belly straight out of the brine. I gave it a rinse off, and now we just gotta give it a pat down. So unlike Hometown Barbecue, I'm not really trying to make this like bacon. I'm more trying to make this like a sliceable pastrami cut. We're gonna season this up like a pastrami, cook it all the way to that 200+ internal temp range. So at this stage, all we gotta do is hit this with our pastrami rub. I spent a little bit of time toasting off some coriander, some mustard seeds, some black peppercorns, so you get this beautiful aroma of these spices that are typical for pastrami. Then I threw them all into a spice grinder to get a beautiful, coarse kind of rub. I'll put the ingredients and the amounts for the rub in the description below, but essentially I hit this with 1 part coriander to 1 part black peppercorns, and then half a part ground mustard seeds, half a part granulated garlic, and half a part granulated onion. No salt required because we know that brine is salty enough. And just look how beautiful this rub is on this pastrami pork belly. Give her a flip around and over the top, heavy with it. We want to make sure we get a good coating all the way around so we can build that beautiful classic pastrami looking crust. This classic pastrami rub is beautifully laid on and it's looking pretty good. Now our goal with this pork belly pastrami is to really bring those classic pastrami flavors that you would normally get with a brisket to this new cut of a pork belly. We want it to be sliceable yet super tender. This pastrami pork belly is all brined up, rubbed down, and it's ready for the cooker. So let's go fire up the cooker. Snake nests. Gotta let the coals get hot. All right, y'all, the cooker's on its way up to about 200 degrees. We could start this pork belly at a low and smoky 200 to 225 degrees, but then we're gonna bump it up a few hours in and pretty much cook around 250 the entire time. So enough horsing around, let's go grab that pork belly and turn it into pastrami. Let's go. Some pork belly pastrami for y'all. Up and under. All right, we're gonna go middle back of the cooker. Something about like that. All right, y'all, we got this pork belly waiting to turn into pastrami. It's sitting beautiful in the middle back of the cooker. The goal with this pork belly pastrami is to evaporate all that moisture that this pork belly took on from the brine and build a beautiful dark crust on the outside. Now, some pastramis are steamed, so I got a water pan sitting on the designated water pan shelf. I've got the damper to the smokestack about a third of the way closed, and our fire ideally is rocking between 225 and 250 degrees. I'll bring y'all back when this pork belly is looking crusty and is almost pastrami. But until then, let's close it down. Boom, shakalaka. Finding and drinking all of these blues really makes me have to go to the loo. Loo rhymes with blue. What's that? You see a blue? Where? Did you actually see this one? That was far away. Pastrami pork belly and a crisp cold Canadian Pilsner. But first, I gotta tinkle. All right, y'all, as you can see, we've been rocking temps at about 250 degrees since after about the first hour or so. We're about 4 hours in on this pastrami pork belly. Let's take a look and see if she's pastramied. All right, y'all, our pastrami bark is actually starting to set pretty well after 4 hours, but you can see down near the sides, I think we're just getting a lot of fat render, which is starting to wash away a bit of that color, but not too bad. Nothing looks like it's burning. I'm gonna give this front just a wee bit of a spritz, and the back a wee bit of a spritz. And maybe some of those edges real quick, but nothing crazy. This pork belly is losing a lot of water weight from the brine. A lot of fat is rendering out, and as a result, our pork belly has definitely shrunk up. In hindsight, maybe I would have went with a larger piece of pork belly to do this, just so I can have a lot left over at the end of the day. But this little slab of pork belly pastrami is still gonna be great. All I did was spritz with some apple cider vinegar. I'm anticipating this cook going about 8 hours or so. I'm gonna be losing some light, but I'll bring y'all back the best I can to check on this pastrami pork belly in a little bit. I'm gonna temp it and then likely wrap using the foil boat method. Pork belly is just extremely fatty, so giving this a full foil wrap to steam it out like I did in my brisket pastrami video may just create too soft of a texture all around. When pork belly is too fatty and too soft, it's hard to eat a lot of it. So we'll check back in when we go for the wrap, but until then, let's close it down. Boom. And this pastrami pork belly is finally ready to taste. So once I pulled this from the smoker, I let this pork belly cool down, and then I threw it in my toaster oven, and then I let it rest overnight. And believe it or not, the temperature of that toaster oven really held this pork belly at an exact 150. Then I had to pull the pork belly and let it cool down completely, and then vacuum seal it to store it until I was ready to eat. To reheat this bad mamma jamma, I threw it back in the toaster oven at 150 degrees for the last hour and a half or so, and now she's ready to slice into. Take her out of this little boat. Just look how beautiful it barked up. Now, if I were to do this again, I would definitely grab a bigger pork belly. The one I started with was about 2.8 pounds. Now I'm gonna slice this lengthwise, primarily for a thumbnail, but also Hometown Barbecue, when they serve up their pastrami bacon, not that this is pastrami bacon, but they have these really long, amazing slices. So I just wanna check that out real quick. Oh, just take a looky-loo at that. But you can clearly see the pastrami brine penetrated completely into this belly. But take a look at this beautiful slab of pastrami belly. The light shining off the fat is crazy, but just take a looky-loo. Woohoo! Man, I'm just admiring this. I mean, look at the floppage. A lot of render on that pork belly. I'm curious about how this tastes. Let's start with this big strip of pork belly on the end. I already know what I'm making next. Pastrami pork belly burnt ends. Woo, hit that subscribe button for this little nug of pork belly pastrami. Here goes nothing. Yup. Oh man, that is so freaking good. That has the perfect level of saltiness. Every time I make pastrami or have pastrami, I'm worried about the sodium level. It always tends to be too much, but this is the perfect level of saltiness. It's almost like salty like bacon, but it's got all those beautiful warming spices, that coriander and black pepper crust, little garlic and onion coming through. You just throw these back so easily. This has a hint of sweetness to it. I think from that beautiful render on that fat, pastrami pork belly needs to be done way more often. Holy crap. Talk about a new take on pastrami. This is amazing. I mean, just look in there where it's kind of breaking, nice and caramelized. Oh my, I am in shock and awe about how good this is. This pork belly pastrami is so good, I just can't stop. Hello, pastrami mommy. These are poppable. No. All of those flavors are just coming together with a beautiful piece of pork belly that's fatty and rich. And this one's actually pretty meaty. If I was opening a barbecue joint, this would go on the menu for sure. I really need someone to come on over and try this food that I've been making, because to me, it is killer barbecue. Let me know in the comments if you're willing to come to the horse stables to check out some Q. But in the meantime, this is all for me. So succulent and tender. This pastrami pork belly is not horsing around. And honestly, I'm liking these long slices. They look really freaking cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's how they do it at Hometown Barbecue. If you're wondering about tenderness, breaks apart really easily. Hold your horses. This pastrami belly is ridiculous. Eeny, meeny, miny, unreal good. Slice some of this up like bacon, throw it in the oven, throw it on a grill, throw it in a pan, render it down a little bit more if you feel like it. Pastrami belly has got to be the next big thing in backyard barbecue. You gotta give this one a try. Pastrami just begs to be washed down by a beer. Wowza! This pastrami belly is feeling heavy already. Knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on a sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. I'm rapping too early in this video, so I can go let this lighten up in my gullet and dream of some pastrami belly lyrics. Here we go. Whoa. I'm feeling like I'm in Brooklyn in this dream. Cool. Yeah. Take a deep breath, exhale, and get settled in. Grab a pork belly, make a brine, and you drop it in. Let it brine for a week or however long it's been. Pull it out of the brine and make sure to give it a rinse. Have it dry and your pork belly's nice and ready. Coriander, black pepper, yeah, go nice and heavy. It's cooking fast on the track, Mario Andretti. You know it's done when you know that it jiggles like jelly. Let it rest and go ahead and grab your belly. Slice it up, you know that you can feed so many. Your friends and family, yeah, they're gonna be stricken with envy. Hit that sub button, grow this channel, and drop the confetti. Thank y'all for tuning into Harry the Horse Barbecue. I really appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every subscription really helps me out. You know we got that crispy bark on this pastrami pork belly, so go ahead and leave a like on this video. Leave a comment down below if you've tried pastrami in your bellies, and let me know the next thing I should pastrami. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we're posting new content. And you can follow me on Instagram at Harry the Horse Barbecue. Tag me so I can see what y'all are cooking, because it really inspires me to get outside and cook. And with that being said, there's only one more thing, y'all. This one is going straight to the horse's mouth. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Pastrami, oh mommy.